Thank you. Oh, good evening, councillors and members of the gallery. Welcome to our ordinary council meeting for November. In the meeting this evening, we have Director Rule, we have Acting General Manager Jeff Gunn, and we have Acting Director of Roads and Engineering Jared Roberts. Welcome, Jared. Before we open the meeting, could I request the Acting General Manager make announcements regarding the live streaming of the meeting?
Yeah. This meeting is being live streamed and or recorded for on-demand viewing via Council's website. Attendance at the meeting is to be taken as consent by a person to their image and or voice being webcast. All speakers should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information about other individuals without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending the meetings. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. The meeting must not be recorded by others without prior written consent of the Council in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice. Councillors and staff are obligated to declare conflicts of interest as required under the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's adopted Code of Conduct. Councillors are reminded of their oath of office whereby they have declared and affirmed that they will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Wentworth Shire and the Wentworth Shire Council, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretion vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment.
Thank you very much, GM. It's quite a paragraph, isn't it? Okay, could we please stand for the prayer and acknowledgement of country? We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live and work and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Councillors, let us in silence reflect upon our responsibilities to the community which we represent and to all future generations, and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment. Thank you. Right, there are no apologies. Are there any applications for leave of absence? Councillor Weeding.
Yes, Mr Mayor, can I request a leave of absence from the 9th of December to the 6th of January, please?
Thank you. Any further? The mover to accept those, Councillor Starrick, seconded Councillor Beaumont. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? Councillor Weeding.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to declare a significant non-peculiarly interest in item 9.10. Hence I'll remove myself while discussions are taking place.
The General Manager's report?
No.
Oh, sorry. 9.10. Yeah, the other 9.10. Thank you. Any further? Thank you very much. Noted. We'll move on to confirmation of the minutes of our October meeting. Would somebody like to move? Councillor Nichols, seconded Councillor Armstrong. Any discussion? I'll put that to the vote that we accept the minutes. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Councillor Crisp.
Mr Mayor, I move that the agenda be suspended and allow item 9.7 to be debated first.
Thank you, Councillor Crisp. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Evans, all those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. All right. Director Rule, would you like to welcome our guests who are going to present to us, please?
Yep. Thank you, Mr Mayor, councillors, members of the public. As noted in the report in 9.7, we have a legislative obligation every year to present the financial statements to councillors and the public within a certain time frame after the reports have been finalised and issued. So that's today. So we have Manuel Moncada, who is our audit office representative, who's the account manager that we deal with at the audit office. And we got Brett Hanger, who is the head of the audit department at Nexia, and he's Nexia subcontracted by the audit office to undertake the audit on their behalf, and Brett is the main contact with, and his team with Nexia, who undertake our audit. So they're both here to help us with this agenda item and to answer any questions that the councillors may have. So I'll hand over to the gentlemen, and they can take it from there.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you, and good afternoon. My name is Manuel Moncada. I'm Director of Financial Audit with the Audit Office of New South Wales, and as Simon has just mentioned, we work closely with Nexia, and partner from Nexia, Mr. Brett Hanger, who joins me on the call. We're both pleased to inform the council that following the completion of our audit in October, I was pleased to issue the independent auditor's report on the 30th of October, and noting that it has met the statutory due date of the end of October. In addition to the general purpose financial statements that you're discussing today, we also audited council's special purpose financial statements, and also the special schedule permissible income for general rates, roads to recovery return, council's local roads and community infrastructure program, and the pensioners concession subsidy. Pleasingly, all opinions were unmodified. I'd also like to just pause and thank management for the cooperation that they've afforded the audit team throughout this year's audit. And I'll hand over to Brett, who will cover some of the content that's included in the report on the conduct of the audit, which is an additional report that we issue as required by the Local Government Act. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Manuel, and good evening. Yep, and good evening, Mayor and Councillors. As Manuel mentioned, the report on the conduct of the audit does cover some key financial information included in the financials and some performance and liquidity measures. So I'll just give you the highlights of that report. So in brief, Council's financial results included the following. An operating surplus of $17.3 million compared to $17.7 million for the previous year. The operating result before capital grants and contributions was a deficit of $4.5 million compared to a surplus of $528,000 for the previous year. The total revenue that the council had for the year was $57.5 million, and that was up about $5.7 million from the previous year. The revenue included grants and contributions of $30.4 million, which was up about $2.4 million from the previous year as well. Total cash and investments at the end of the year amounted to $44.1 million. And council's unrestricted current ratio, one of the key liquidity ratios across the industry, was 1.9 to 1. And this means that for every dollar that council owed, it had nearly $2 to cover it. The ratio decreased a little bit from the previous year, primarily due to the use of funds to fund capital projects, as well as some funds being invested for longer term, so moved out of current into non-current. So that also impacted the ratio. But also that ended up being 1.1, so therefore pretty much $2 to cover every dollar owed. Other than that, that's the key financial indicators from the financial report. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Simon and his team for their cooperation throughout the audit. And again, Manuel and I are very happy to take any questions regarding the audit process. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks very much, Brett, and thank you, Manuel, for your presentations. Councillors, do you have any questions? We trust you. Okay, well, thank you very much. With that note, we'll now move to deal with the item. So, and no opinions modified. So, congratulations, Director Rule, and to your staff for the work you've done. So, could I have a mover, please, for recommendation, Councillor Starrick?
Move an adjustment to the recommendation.
Please.
Just the recommendation as written. And at the end of that, and to acknowledge and thank the staff for their work on the audit and preparation of the financial statements.
Thank you. Very, very nicely done. Seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Is there any discussion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you very much again, Manuel and Brett.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Councillor Crisp.
Mr Mayor, I move that council return to the agenda as published.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Evans. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. All right. Just rifle through some tabs here. We'll move back to item 6.1, please. Status report on previous council resolutions. A mover, Councillor Armstrong. Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Nichols. Just had a mental blank. Apologies, Councillor Rodder. I will. My peripheral will pick up on that. Okay. Any discussion, please? Any questions on this item? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. Item 6.2 will move to. Would someone like to move a motion? Councillor Beaumont.
Yes, I'd like to move a recommendation, slightly different to as worded in the agenda, and that being taking into account the three options that have been presented within the agenda report. I'd move the following recommendation: that Council endorse the proposed project financial and progress reporting template as presented for quarterly reporting on projects with an original budget greater than $250,000, and to also include lesser value projects that exceed $250,000 spend due to variation or unforeseen costs. So it's very much a reflection of the.
Okay, so that's
option two. So it's
essentially option two.
Yes, but it takes into account some of the wording within option three.
Now, would someone like to second that, or would they like to see the words on screen before? Because to help out the. So if I can just pass this over, and we'll get the resolution on screen.
Oh, actually, I was going to use that too, so
You can have it back.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Armstrong has seconded it. So while the motion is coming up on screen, Councillor Beaumont, would you like to speak to your motion?
Some of my notes are over there with the
All right.
with the
Okay, that's fine.
administrative
Just wait a
team. But
moment.
look, firstly, I'd like to thank the two teams involved, the finance team and the engineering team, in coming up with the options that have been tabled. There's clearly been quite a bit of work done in thinking about an appropriate template. I think the template is very good. I think that that what's being proposed will give us greater transparency, greater oversight by both management and councillors in terms of projects and costs. And for those reasons that I'm putting forward the motion that I have.
Thank you. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak for the motion, if I may.
You may.
Yeah, I think my initial intent, was to support the recommendation with option one, but I think, variation. But I think Councillor Beaumont's adjustment there, that it is projects that are greater than 250,000, or those projects that, with variations during their life, start to exceed that, to be included, I think is a really well thought out variation to that, in a way that gives us as councillors a really good oversight of our spend on projects. So I think, I commend the motion.
From the chair, thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Are there any speakers for or against now that the full motion is on screen? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And thanks for your work on that, Councillor Beaumont. Item 6.3, we have a recommendation for noting. Councillor Armstrong has moved.
No, Mr. Mayor, I would move with an addition
Right.
to the recommendation. So, as written, with the addition that a user group meeting be called will be called, that's fine, to determine a path forward with the user groups for this proposal and what work, if any work, the clubs can undertake to share the burden of the project.
Okay, we'll just give that a moment.
No, well, that's, yeah, so that'd have to get reported back here so that we could then allocate it because there's no budget for it at the moment. So.
Yeah, I don't think anything that Councillor Armstrong suggested would require a new motion to come to council. So, yeah. Is the motion seconded? Councillor Rodder, thank you very much.
Can you just read the motion?
The motion that council receive and note the report regarding a second oval at Caramar Drive Sporting Complex and that a user group meeting be called to determine the path forward and to see what work that the user groups can do to assist with the burden of the costs.
To assist with any potential implementation of a second oval. Is better wording than that, sorry.
Progressing this concept. You happy with your words?
Yep.
Go with your words.
Okay.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
So you're happy with the
Happy with
motion?
that? Yep.
Councillor Rodder has seconded. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again to the staff who put the hard work into looking at this for us. Understand that there are some technical difficulties with the site as it stands currently, and with any potential for a second oval on the current site. There are obviously some technical difficulties that the staff have highlighted in their report. Just as a comment, I think it'd be great if all of our costs presented to council in reports were exclusive of GST, given that as a council we don't pay that GST.
We claim it back.
Claim it back, right? But just so we have an understanding of what the actual cost is to the bottom line of the budget. If we could have them, future presented ex GST, but given that there are technical difficulties, but there is also a shorter term need for us to find a solution here. I think it'd be great if, as a council and the user groups who are using the facility, could come together to at least work in good faith together to find a pathway forward. And if that is some form of second oval at the current site, if that can technically work, or as we've talked about at previous meetings, if it's accelerating a move to a sporting precinct in that area.
Thanks for that, Councillor Armstrong. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone else like to speak for the motion? Councillor Rodder.
Just again, thank you to the staff who've done the work to prepare the information that's before us tonight. But the need for the second oval is quite desperate, and the bottom line there is quite frightful. But I'm sure that there's some potential for further cost savings to be made on some of those costs, and whether it's this is the preferred option. Or we progress the sporting complex proposal in the shorter term, yet to be confirmed. But it really is important to include our user groups and our community in on discussions around this project.
Thanks, Councillor Rodder. Anyone else wish to speak against it? I have a question. I think looking at it, and I walked the site during the week, understand the desire for a second oval. Absolutely, it's an issue. It's going to become an issue of trade-offs of what you gain by having a second oval. You lose, a sealed road. You lose car parking, all those aspects. Anyway, that's outlined in the report. But my question is just regarding item 5, stormwater basin modifications, including pump, switchboard and rising main for just under 200,000. Which components does that relate to, please?
So that probably not included in the picture, but to the north of probably the netball court area there. So there's a existing shallow retention basin at that particular location, which actually extends across the whole northern frontage of the facility. And that takes in predominantly a significant amount of stormwater from the Baronga area. So at present, that in times of significant rainfall, that will hold water for potentially 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the amount of rain, and would essentially render that area unsuitable for any parking that would need to potentially be utilised. So that that line item there is, well, I suppose it's a risk management line item to essentially contain the water primarily to that northwest part of the facility, and leave the remainder of the facility open for the sealed road construction around the top of the facility and the car parking area. As it is at the moment, there's no formal design done on the site. It's a anticipated estimate based on recent known costs for similar installations.
You're adding a pump into that situation.
There's a pump there because the stormwater basin would be lower than the outlet pipe, so there'd be no way to drain that basin. So when the basin fills up, it would gravity feed out, but then there is going to be a significant amount of water left in that basin, that would be a low flow pump, and would just remove the water over time over a 3, 4, 5 day period.
Okay, so it gets back to the argument of an issue of trade-offs. So putting in a second oval wouldn't specifically trigger the need for that. It's just you would have to accept that you wouldn't have anywhere to park cars during wet weather.
Well, you would have a severely limited space to park cars because you would remove essentially all that access and existing car parking area. So it could be.
Yeah, but while it's dry, you could park, and
you could use it as it is there.
Stormwater runoff, you can't park.
Yeah, so. There's no. This estimate didn't allow for any reshedding or any area over in that particular area to create a hard stand parking area, but it's a preliminary scope and estimate to give council an indication of what could be involved in, or realistically could be involved in the project.
Yes, and something for the user groups to sort of throw into the mix of considerations. Councillor Weeding.
Just a question, will this form part of the Baronga Golgol Sporting Master Plan at all? Or?
Well, it's actually a different concept to what was articulated in the master plan, but this has become critical, I guess, or more urgent, because council has not at this point been able to secure suitable land to get to first base for implementing the sporting master plan. So this is a slight switching of gears, but this has primarily been a request of the user groups, which council staff have now given some guidance, and it's back to the user groups now to give it further consideration. So to answer your question, it's separate to the master plan. Councillor Rodder.
Just further to that, so for example, the Golgol Cricket Club are actually having to hire facilities in Mildura and pay $10,000 for the wicket at number 3 Oval. That's how critical the need is. So there is simply not enough space there at the facility to cope with the number of people who are playing sport in that region.
It's true to say that every dollar that would be spent on enhancing the existing facility is a dollar that we may not have to spend on implementing the overall master plan, but that comes down to trade-offs, competing priorities of what the clubs actually want and where the demand is now, given there's a whole bunch of female footy teams, for example, juniors that are playing there as well. So, Councillor Starrett.
this report is in response to a specific question that's been posed by the user group, and I acknowledge that. I guess my question is it's an open-ended question to council staff. Is I recognise from the tone of the report that the recommendation from council staff is that it may not be appropriate. So my question would be, is there an alternative that would be more appropriate that we might be able to consider as part of those discussions with the user group? And I'm not expecting an answer now because it is on the spot. It's just something for us to consider. If part of that discussion with the user groups is recognising this was something they put forward, but is there a counter proposal that might be more suitable if this is not appropriate?
Anyone like to tackle that?
I'll take your question on notice. I know there is potentially some maybe alternatives that the general manager has previously looked at. How far or how specific they are, I'll be unsure at this time, but I'm happy to take the question on notice and provide some
I'm
detail.
entirely happy with that.
Yeah.
Just posing, could we think about that? That's all.
Thank you. I'll just go to Councillor Rodder and then you, Councillor Nichols.
Yeah, so just further to that, so the need has been there for a very long time. There's been a number of options which have been discussed, including moving the levy bank, which or putting the second overway over the other side, and there was a whole pile of things that led to this being the proposal put forth by the user group, because none of the alternatives that have previously been identified, and this is 4 years since I've been on council, this has been a high priority. It's got to the point now where it's critical, and all of the other options that have thus far been identified have yielded worse results than this, in that it just wasn't possible to go through with those. So,
thank you, Councillor Nichols.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I haven't been out there for some time. I'm wondering if the facility is possible, if it's some work done at the Gold Horse Complex. But I haven't been out there for some time, but there was a considerable amount of land there. And the other thought was how far to, and I know it's not getting, we've got the $40 million thing, how far to go to Denton compared to Mildura. Because they've got two angles there.
So
This
that's certainly something to be considered by the user groups. Their view is that they'd like it on site. But yeah, that's an obvious one to consider.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, Councillor Beaumont.
For clarification to Director Gunn or to those responsible, are the 0.5 stormwater basin modification, including pump, switchboard and rising main, 195,000, and the modification to existing stormwater system, 9,000, does that relate to the paragraph in the report that refers to residential developments in the Baronga area and likely anticipated stormwater main upgrade?
I might take the question.
Thanks.
The stormwater basin modifications, pump, switchboard and rising main, essentially deal with some minor on-site water, but it's predominantly to deal with the stormwater discharge from a fair size of commercial and residential development in Baronga, because that all feeds into the northwest corner of the facility. The item number 6, modifications to the existing stormwater, is essentially associated with existing pipes and pits that would be contained within that proposed new oval area, which need to be specifically capped off and or modified to facilitate that construction.
So, so if the proposed oval was to go ahead, the ramifications there would be that you have to take into account the increasing developments in Baronga and the increasing stormwater. So,
In so much as if you want to ensure you've got an area for car parking, as was discussed a little bit earlier, there's a risk there for that because that area actually is and with the increasing development, and I think also as part of the report, there's will be the future need for a duplication of an outfall pipe which goes from the drainage basin down through and underneath the western side of what that new oval construction would be. That doesn't prevent the oval from being made.
that would be, I mean, if the oval got the tick to proceed, that work would be done prior to the oval. You wouldn't do the oval.
No, not necessarily. That design hasn't been finalised for any outfall work for a pipeline through there, and that would be a significant sized project because that pipeline would have to run from the existing detention basin through to the river outfall.
So yes, if an oval went ahead, there is a likely potential that part of it would be dug up
at some point in time and then reinstated.
But that can't be avoided at this stage because there's no plan.
No, there's
a plan, but it's not specced out. We know it's got to happen, but not yet. Okay, thanks everybody. That's a good discussion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Item 7.1, I move my report. Is there a second, please? Councillor Potter, thank you. I'll just touch on a couple of aspects of this one. Okay, Ramjo board meeting. So Ramjo is the new group of councils that we're aligning ourselves with for common advocacy. So I met with those guys in Baruga a couple of weeks ago, and they'll pick Wentworth to come to for one of their meetings next year, I think February, so that's good. Sturt Highway Task Force continues to be a really useful advocacy piece for us. Obviously, one of our key requests is, in addition to just general more money being spent on that vital freight link, is to have overtaking lanes somewhere within our shire, and we're very much on the same page with Balranald because we've got the same issue, and it involves Mildura as well because obviously they have a lot of their people commuting to Robinvale using the Sturt Highway. So when you've got that mix of the grey nomads who we love all the caravan activity coming into and tourism activity, but when you're interacting with AB triples, commuters, mum and dad, it's a bit of a becomes a bit of an issue when you've got convoys of traffic and then people get frustrated and risks are taken. Menindee operations been quite topical lately in terms of the releases from Lake Menindee, Weir 32, and just the Lower Darling residents supported by this council in that we would like to see the water storage prioritised in the upper two lakes. I note as of today the releases have dropped back to another 500 meg a day, so down to 4,500 split between the upper lakes and Menindee, so moving in the right direction. But there's obviously a lot of concern with what's happened in recent years around mass fish kills that we're on alert for, but just as importantly for our shire is the water quality issue itself. So the more water that's available in the top lakes gives more options to be able to dilute poor quality water. Remembrance Day was a lovely event as always, and great to see so many school kids being part of that. Just last Thursday, Friday, myself and the Deputy Mayor were in Sydney for the Country Mayors Association, which we meet there quarterly, and it's a very, very useful forum, not just for the presentations and the things that we attend there, but having access to ministers and their staffers for various issues that we might have from time to time, and we sure have a few. There was presentations from the survey done to all the country mayor associated councils on their priorities, and unsurprisingly, financial sustainability for councils was the number one, but also the usual issues around crime and health access. I must say, predominantly when they're talking about health access, it's the lack of GPs in some of these rural and regional communities. I think it's probably fair to say we're very fortunate here between the Wentworth Community Medical Centre and CHAC that we have quite good access to GPs. Certainly we would always like more allied health services, but that in conjunction with the new urgent care facility, and Councillor Crisp attended a meeting today with regards to the New South Wales ambulance announcements. Whilst there, also had opportunity to talk to one of Minister Moriarty's advisors, just seeking an update on the Regional Economic Development and Community Program funding, which we submitted an application back in February. I was told that we can expect an answer on that within a fortnight, and that is a $3.635 million grant. So it would be good to get that news, especially if it's good news. And then the other aspect to that from under the Regional Development Minister and Minister for Western New South Wales is the New South Wales Sustainable Communities Program, which is the bucket of money as compensation for water buybacks, and obviously that reduced economic activity that has affected all basin shires, and it hasn't missed us. So hopefully there'll be some good opportunities for our community come out of that. I might just ask the Deputy Mayor if he's got any further points to add to that. It was quite a busy couple of days.
Indeed it was, Mr Mayor. I'd like to report also that Sustainable Communities Grant is the grant that the Sunrise Early Settlers Museum are targeting. That submission is being prepared by them at this point in time. As councillors are aware, we've been doing a lot of work on acquisition of Crown land for some of our facilities, and that discussion was furthered with Mr Honig's advisor. We'll just keep working on that. We presented a submission regarding Kerwa leases, which have become a problem for Kerwa people, and council's been involved with that for a while. And we had a meeting with Minister Camper on that particular issue and presented our submission, and then we'll just wait and see what the options are there. A watch and act is that there are changes to the plan, to the way planning is managed by councils and reported by councils, and that's something we'll just need to watch how that develops. It was news to most of the people in the room, so it's a case now of waiting to see what happens. But on various scenarios, we as councillors could have a lot less to do with planning approvals in the future, if how some people interpret that. And federal government have a review of local government sustainability, which, for those who have been involved in local government for a long time, the debate was mostly centred around, here we go again. We've said all this before for the last 25 years, and we'll say it all again, and hopefully maybe something will happen this time. Road fundings was a popular topic, and there are concerns about funding across New South Wales. I'm sure you've all picked it up in the media, but the funding for potholes and other things is a concern, and were addressed by the chair of the New South Wales Grants Commission, which they deal with the federal assistance grants, which that funding is remitted to states in New South Wales, and then New South Wales distributed according to a formula. And the Grants Commission will be present at the local government conference this weekend. So I thank Director Rule for the information he's provided Councillor Starrick and I to read over the next few days, so that we can engage with the Grants Commission in Sydney when we're there. They're going to have a table at the Grants Commission, and we'll have a read and have a look at the formula and what we will then insert as our views, hopefully in a submission to various bodies that will be pursuing this. And the last one, which was caused a little more angst than perhaps I expected, but it doesn't affect us very much here, that the New South Wales government are opening preschool education within primary schools, and that's a separate to the community kindergartens that are currently in the communities. None are scheduled here, but the concern from the councils that have communities with significantly invested in community preschools is that the Department of Education model sees the educators paid as teachers, whereas the community ones are paid under a different award, and they're a bit concerned that for mere financial reasons staff would shift from the community to the public. But as I understand, nothing's happening this far out west for a while, but it was one that had some passion, and probably the side effect was there was a surprising number of younger councillors there who had children in preschool education who felt compelled to contribute to the debate, which I thought was refreshing, if not distressing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Any questions?
Questions? Councillor Rodder.
Thank you. So just in regards to the Country Mayors Association meeting, was there much conversation around the proposal to potentially drop speed limits to 70 kilometres per hour and outside of the
Yes, there was, unsurprisingly. So actually some interesting outcomes there. So Dr. Webster, in her capacity as the Shadow Minister for Local Government, attended the conference and presented there, and she had a few things to say about that. But what was really good is in question time on Thursday, the New South Wales Roads Minister got a question regarding that and stated absolutely categorically that that won't be happening in New South Wales. So I think that's a good, sensible outcome. I mean, it's worth noting that, because I listened to a bit of talk back locally and also coming out of Melbourne, and you do get people calling up saying, you know, this road, that road, it's not safe to be doing 100 on, or, you know, whatever it should say. Well, there's mechanisms to deal with that and signpost roads accordingly if you feel it's necessary. What we're strongly opposed to is not reduced road toll. It's not implementing arbitrary speed reductions across roads that don't need that and affect our productivity and efficiency and all the things that will make life more difficult for us living in the bush.
Yeah.
So a pretty sensible outcome, I think.
Yeah, so on the back of that, perhaps they could provide greater direction to Transport New South Wales, because it's frustrating as a council whereby the process to go through Transport New South Wales to have road speed limits changed is frustratingly long. So I understand that there's finally moved to extend the speed zone, 60 speed zone coming out of Goldwell going, don't know what direction it is, up towards, towards Trentham Cliffs. And we've been asking for that for quite a while. So perhaps there's...
So that's changes to existing signposted and speed limited roads. This other measure is about
no, I realise that, but
applying to roads that don't have a speed limit designated. So
council should have greater autonomy over the Transport New South Wales to change speed zones at a much faster rate than has been the case when dealing with Transport New South Wales.
And just on that quickly, I think the acting GM has unpicked a bit of that too. There was actually some communication flows that perhaps weren't flowing as well as they could have within Transport for New South Wales. So we have our committee meetings here in the Shire, recommendations are made, and sort of message A wasn't getting to where it needed to go. So some of that's been smoothed out, and hence
We've got some action.
some outcomes. Okay. Anything further? Councillor Roller.
Just one more, sorry, in regards to the webinar on the model meeting code. Was that a useful webinar, and was there much discussion around that again at the Country Mayors Association meeting?
Yes, I think it was. Yes, I think it was useful. I mean, one of the points that was drawn out is that, and we had a further update from the Deputy Secretary of the department. The issue around briefings, as you know, they will be banned going forward. That's not to say you can't have workshops on important issues that arise. What you can't do is have a workshop or a briefing or any other name you want to call it immediately prior to a meeting on which that's an agenda item. So
yeah, so that's of lesser concern to me. I mean, there's obviously other aspects of the new code of meeting practice which I think significantly disadvantage particularly rural councillors and particularly female councillors, or those who that I think Minister Honey has definitely missed the mark with that. I don't know how precluding a councillor from attending a meeting online, if they're out of not able to actually be in a chamber, increases transparency and promotes professionalism within the chamber.
Sure.
I actually think that disadvantages a number of the people sitting at the table here, and probably a lot of other rural councillors, and does nothing for increased transparency and accountability within the chamber when you've got potentially John travels for work, Jody travels for work.
So as you'll be aware, Councillor, I put in a submission covering off those facts or situations quite succinctly.
Yep.
That was passed through Country Mayors directly in the Minister's office. We've received correspondence back. The Minister's not for moving on that particular topic at the moment, but I do, really the sentiment I was expressing was I would much rather councillors be a part of the meeting than not. So that's a pretty basic principle. Where there was some movement on that in conjunction with Country Mayors is we all know our regional shires. We know that it's not Canberra roads everywhere you go. So at times during weather events, they're not safe to be travelled on. So there's been some movement there where there'll be more flexibility for people to attend by audio-visual link. But look, we've had our say. At the moment, it is what it is, and I think my honest view is I think we just see how the changes bed down. But I do agree strongly with the idea that we shouldn't have a code of meeting practice that could ultimately discourage good community people from putting their hand up to represent their community on council. So I'm not going to solve that tonight, but the sentiment's been expressed.
Yeah, so I appreciate that we did make representation to the Minister and we got a response. So I'm not really sure that I'm comfortable with us just waiting to see how it beds down and not taking any further action. I think that as a council that we need to continue and elevate our advocacy in that regard, because it will have an impact on this chamber.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Rodder. Councillor Crisp.
While sympathising with your thoughts, Joe, it was made abundantly clear by the Secretary of the Department at Wentworth that nothing has changed. This is locked in and this is what's going to happen. And the meeting was incredibly discomforted by it, and it was a very long and with some acrimony in the debate. But they are not going to move. But similarly, people will continue to talk about this because it does impede good democracy in our view. But by jingoes, they're sticking to their guns.
Mr. Mayor, I move the resolution be put.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong. In closing, is that motion seconded? Councillor Crisp is seconding that the motion be put. Just as I put it, I will just thank Councillor Crisp and Councillor Starrick for attending the Local Government New South Wales Conference this week, and thank all councillors for your attendance and contribution to the various committees that you sit on, because that is a big part of our community function. So thank you. Those in favour of accepting my report? Thank you. That is carried. We'll move to item 8.1, the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee.
So moved.
Councillor Crisp has
So
moved.
moved to the officer recommendation.
Seconded by Councillor Beaumont. Are there any questions? Anyone wish to speak to the motion? Against the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Councillor Rotter? You're against? That is carried unanimously. Item. What am I missing? Thank you. Mr. Cup. Item 9.1, the General Manager's Report for November. Councillor Armstrong has so moved. Seconded, Councillor Reading. Are there any questions? Got out of it easy, Acting General Manager. Sorry. Councillor Beaumont.
Yeah, just one amendment. The 1st of December Wentworth Regional Tourism meeting, that will not occur until the 2nd of February. It's not under events.
Thank you. Under events noted. We have that captured. Thank you. All right. Councillor Rotter.
So just in regards to the Australian Inland Botanic Gardens, so I'm not sure whether the invitation was extended to all councillors, but it's actually the AGM where the presentation of the annual reports will be taking place, and it would be lovely to see everybody there.
It's on tomorrow night, yes.
Yes.
Time.
Date.
In your calendar.
Is it in your calendar?
Definitely got invites
It's in
today.
my calendar.
Right.
You know, Gail definitely set up.
5:30 for a train ride, I think.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Flood Risk Management Committee. There's a report that we're waiting for. What's the status of that? Is it on public display yet, or?
We will receive that report this week sometime, is my recollection, and that will then, we will have about a week to respond to whether it reflects our understanding of the meeting we had last week, and then it will go on public consultation.
Thank you.
With the aim of having it all wrapped up and done March 2026. Councillor Ross.
Just further to that, so the Wentworth Regional Tourism Inc. recently held their AGM, which is not listed in there. What was the date of that, Councillor Beaumont?
What was the date of it? I'll have to look it back at my calendar.
Perhaps we could have that included.
Was that attended by Council Rep?
Councillor Robert. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's we'll add that in post during the meeting. Yep.
So that was the 10th of November.
Cool. 10th of November. No worries. Thank you very much. All right. Anything further? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thanks. That's carried. Item 9.2, lifting of alcohol-free zone, Wentworth District Rowing Club Annual Easter Regatta. We have a recommendation. Councillor Weeding, you'd like to?
To move the recommendation A, B and C.
Thank you. Is that seconded? Councillor Nichols, thank you. Any discussion? Put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Item 9.3, Meals on Wheels do a fabulous job. Request for financial assistance. Councillor Nichols has moved. Is there a seconder?
Sorry, Mr. Manager, before we move and second that, which of the options is Councillor Nichols on?
I think we'll play. We come
So option A.
option A, the full amount. Thanks, Councillor Armstrong. Would someone like to second that motion? Councillor Evans? Would anyone like to speak to the motion?
No, you basically just said it when you introduced it, an organisation that is providing a service that's needed, probably more widely needed than what's being used at the moment.
Yeah, pretty big footprint. Thank you for that. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Starrick.
I just want to ask the question, where the funding will come from our budget to fund this, but also put it to council that as it stands at the moment, we're reviewing this annually. Should we consider, for the benefit of both council and Meals on Wheels, perhaps that we need to consider a longer term approach to this to provide stability and assurance of funding on an ongoing basis.
Good question.
So
Councillor.
if I can just speak to Councillor Starrick's comment, I think we need to keep in mind that the Meals on Wheels have a commercial lease with a private investor, and not knowing the terms of that lease and potential increases would pose some difficulty in terms of putting a more permanent arrangement in place.
Thank you. Would you like to respond to that, Director Rule, or you just flag that for future discussion?
You'd have to take that into the whole thing into consideration, along with what Councillor Starrick's. So if we were looking at doing a 3 or 4 year agreement with them, we would have to get a better understanding of what their lease obligations are and what the mechanisms are for reviews and annual increases and those type of.
So that might take the form of a memorandum of understanding, like we have with Tunkin or Pioneer Homes or something like that, which specifies the reason why we take certain action. Okay.
So just and to answer Councillor Starrick's other point, and she did email me about that the other day, so I was prepared. So it comes out of the financial assistance. So I think last year we paid, I think it was $8,300 or something around about that amount.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Item 1.4. Orwell Public School request for financial assistance. Someone. Councillor Armstrong, moving as written, which is a nice precise amount. Councillor Beaumont seconding.
Yep.
Thank you. Anyone like to speak for the motion? For the motion? Against the motion?
So
Question?
Just for the benefit of everyone too, this will also come out of the same bucket of money that I just mentioned previously.
Thank you for your anticipation.
Unfortunately, there's no such thing as in kind, so those costs will have to get attributed to
Getting smaller.
Yes.
Councillor Starrick, does that answer your assumed question?
It does indeed.
Anticipated. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Okay. Item 9.5, the monthly finance report for the month of October. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Crisp, thank you. Seconded. Councillor Weeding. Any questions? I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Item 9.6, monthly investment report for October. Would someone like to move? Councillor Armstrong. Second, Councillor Crisp. Does anybody have any questions? This is page 91. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item 9.7 we have dealt with. Thank you very much. Item 9.8, quarterly budget review statements. 125. Recommendation there for noting and approving quarterly variations. Councillor Nichols, are you moving? Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Crisp.
If I may, is it possible for this council to go to the Office of Local Government with the financial templates and any template that we can't read, because I believe they are government templates of ours, to have them made larger? Well, basically, because we're pushing transparency all the time, and you can't read it. There's no transparency there.
And the same sort of sentiment came out of the other day. All these tables are individual sheets within one Excel document, and other than the white cells where you get into the data, everything else is password protected. So I couldn't hide columns, I couldn't minimise columns or anything like that. So it made taking screenshots of them quite difficult. But in saying that, the provider who provides our templates for our annual financials is also currently working on having their system capable of doing this report as well, which hopefully will make it a lot more. What I'm hoping to do is that when that's in place, and they're hoping to have that in place by the end of this quarter, is I'll utilise that for the purpose of this report, and then I'll just complete the template that we have to complete and send back to the LG using their. But I'm sure they will get plenty of feedback from councils as they over the next couple of weeks as they go about completing this and lodging them with the LG by the end of the month. So.
Well, I think that's necessary because I know it's not us. However, as I say, they're pushing transparency all the time, and how can we be transparent if we can't read it?
You can add it to your list, Councillor Starrick, for later this week. Councillor Rodder.
Looking at the printout that we've got, developer contributions summary, brings about a question that I had in mind to ask, because I'd like explanation as to the developer contribution differences between, say, for example, if you're a developer in Wentworth, Miller, or in Barolga, is there a difference in the fees that are charged between different towns, or is it a blanket?
No, there has to be, and which leads to another discussion. We're actually in the process of reviewing, starting to review all of those. But essentially, to charge a developer contribution, there needs to be a nexus between what you're charging and what you're going to spend the money or want to spend the money on. So at the moment, I don't think we actually charge anything for for any new development in Wentworth and Denton, because any new development doesn't really impact on the existing infrastructure, whereas the new development in Baronga and Golgol significantly impacts on the existing infrastructure. So therefore, we need these developer contributions help to. And I'm only explaining it as how the legislation says it. So we do charge headworks fees for water and sewer in Wentworth and Denton, but the open spaces and the stormwater we don't, because there's not the need for those developer contributions in, and they're spelled out in the plans.
I'm not sure I entirely agree with that sentiment. I mean, there's obviously, we need to future-proof the infrastructure in both Denton and in Wentworth.
I don't disagree with you, but unfortunately, that's how the legislation is written at the moment. You have to.
Is it maybe the interpretation of the legislation which we need to look at from a different perspective, because we've spent a significant amount of money here in Wentworth on sewer and water and other things, so shouldn't there?
Yeah, so we charge water and sewer headworks fees, which is another form of developer contribution.
Yeah. So what about open spaces, parks and things like? Why are developers precluded from making a contribution towards that?
Because we can't prove that there is a need. So we can't prove that additional subdivision or development will trigger the need for a new park or a new playground or a new oval to the same extent that we can in Baronga and Gold at the moment.
We need to change our perspective. I was a developer.
As Simon said, it's being reviewed, developer contribution scheme. Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Similar, just along the developer contribution line, to Director Rule. Unless there's no developer contribution line in there for water and sewer.
Yeah, because that's essentially that gets restricted within the water fund and the sewer fund anyway, whereas these ones are the other ones that go into the general fund, and we're restricting within the cash there. So yes, we might have $40 million in the bank, but we have $1.5 million worth of contributions that we've received from developers that we have to spend on certain projects, whereas the water fund and the sewer fund are already externally restricted anyway.
So, but we do collect developer contributions for water and sewer and Baronga Go-Goals.
And debt.
Yeah. So I guess my next question, potentially a bit loaded, but is the metric of the developer contributions in Baronga Go-Goals sufficient to cover the need?
That's what the review will do. So partly, we've got someone currently reviewing the Baronga Go-Goals structure plan because that was done about 4 or 5 years ago. So we're reviewing that first to say, okay, what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years, what's got to still happen, etc., and then a lot of that will then feed into reviewing the developer contribution plans and the development servicing plans to ask that next question of, well, we know we need to do this, how much is it going to cost? Because costs have also increased since the time of those plans were put together. Should we actually be charging more? So all of those questions will get answered in.
Thank you. Councillor, did you have a question, Councillor Beaumont? Councillor Lotta.
So, in that regard, Director Rule, who is undertaking the review of the Baronga Gold Structure Plan? And secondly, will there be community input into?
Yeah, I think the council, so it's got to go on public consultation. So so George has started that process at the moment.
I see. Yeah. It's not an external consultant.
Not at the moment, but we're looking at is the Department of Planning has funding available to be able to do that. So we're looking at also doing that. So it won't be cheap exercise. There's a fair bit of modelling that needs to go into that type of stuff. So
I'm sure the Baronga Gold communities would look forward to the opportunity to provide some feedback. But further to that, in there is the staff entitlements reserve. Brings about the question in regards to the restructure and our recruitment. How is recruitment coming along? And I was disappointed or a little bit dismayed to see that there's insufficient staff, and the Midway Centre had to close 2 Fridays in a row at lunchtime due to a lack of staff. Is there a recruitment problem? Have we got a staff shortage? Where are we at with that?
I think that very narrowly fits into this agenda item, Councillor Lotta. So
it's about staff entitlements and
staff entitlements, but talking about our org structure. But if you want to have a go at that
further, not a question for Jeff. It's probably a question for Ken. For you to answer. I know there's 3 managers' roles that are currently out being advertised, and they close on Monday.
So that senior roles close in. There's a number of other positions that various senior staff have been on interview panels in the last couple of weeks. So there is quite a significant amount of recruitment that is happening, together with the normal staff type turnover of people moving on and the like. But the essentially all the roles that were identified in the new structure in the operations area have been filled. The changes in the corporate finance area and the planning area, as Simon just alluded to, those senior positions close on Monday. and then that will cascade down through to the other couple of positions.
Just on the Midway question, the Midway is closed for an hour every day, from 12 to 1 or from 1 to 2.
That's different to closing for the whole afternoon.
That's a different question.
Yeah, because of lack of staff is what I was told.
All right, thank you very much. I might put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. We will move to item 9.1, the quarterly operations plan progress report. Councillor Armstrong moving. Yes. The report. Thank you. Councillor Crisp is seconding. Are there any questions? I'll put the, Councillor Beaumont.
Sorry, probably got a couple of questions. Page 273, the Greater Darling Junction viewing platform states that to be completed by the end of December. I'm just wondering what is outstanding still to be done over there.
To my understanding, it's only minor defects, really, like minor, I shouldn't say defects, but minor items just to tidy up. The majority of the works, I believe, is done.
Would that include some of the interpretive signage, which there's quite a few of them that are indecipherable. You can't read them; they're that badly heat affected.
Yep.
So that some of those will need a bit of a look at.
I'll definitely follow up on that.
Thank you. And your next question.
Just by way of comment, the Showgrounds kitchen upgrade. As a member of the Wentworth District Racing Club, I can report that the new camp kitchen was utilised on race day and was very functional, and I think has been a very good result. The volunteers working in that facility were very happy. I would have a question in relation to the brick facade that is to be installed. Is that still going ahead?
Yeah, still going ahead. Not 100% sure as to when. I do believe it's before Christmas. So yeah.
Obviously, there's no urgency, but it hasn't been put.
No, it hasn't been taken off the radar. Definitely, it's still to be done.
Okay. Thank you. Last, this is a comment actually. The page 278, the Wentworth Depot upgrade. I just want to refer to the magnolia trees actually that along Short Street that are between the big cyclone fence and the footpath. That used to be a really magnificent display of magnolia trees, and over the last couple of years, I've noticed they can, they're dying off through lack of care and lack of water, and to the point where it looks quite untidy and unsightly. And I'm just wondering whether we can reconstitute the watering system, or at least tidy up that section of the depot and the footpath.
Yeah, no, it's not the first time that's been mentioned, so I'll definitely follow up and see what we can do.
They were a magnificent view along that section of footpath.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've let go.
Thank you, Councillor Beaumont. I've observed that myself. Any further questions? I will put the motion up. You do?
No, nothing else. That's it.
Okay. All right, thanks. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 9.10. I'll give you a moment to... Yes, you were going to leave. Thanks, Councillor Weaving. Okay, would somebody like to move a motion? Councillor Beaumont. What would you like to move?
Oh, okay. So,
So this is where we can move it as printed, but we need to nominate how much or.
yeah, no, I'll move it as printed. But, I've got a couple of questions.
All right. So
Second,
Councillor Crisp
second
seconding.
motion as the applications appear on page 295.
Yeah, so that's what Councillor Beaumont is, what he's moved is the full financial assistance request in the table on page 295.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I've just realised that actually it may be perceived that I have a conflict with the Wentworth Regional Community Project Association because I'm part of the organising for the Christmas Eve street party, so I better go.
That one's already been approved, though, Councillor.
Oh,
So-
anyway. Phew.
Are you referring to the $129 on page?
Yes.
Yeah, that's already been approved.
Oh,
So
sick and hot, no.
that's done under delegated authority.
Okay.
So it's only the three. It's only the three in the table.
The
on page
table.
295.
Just for clarity, Councillor Crisp, you've seconded the motion of Councillor Beaumont
Correct.
for the full amount on.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Would anyone like to speak to the motion? Councillor Beaumont.
Some questions in relation to the available balance. $60,000. Does that include events like the safari?
No, they come out of a separate. There's a separate events budget that's utilised for those. That type of
Safari,
thing.
Safari Rally, and also the Trincaria Desert.
Yes,
race.
and the country music festival and etc.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Rodder.
Have we funded the Kumiala High School
No.
business corporate?
This is the first time,
Yeah.
and the same with the last one too. I think I can't remember them putting in anything in previously, or if they have, it's been a while since they put something in.
Is there any further questions, or would someone like to speak against the motion?
I'd like to speak. Just make some comment on the support for SSAA, and just note, I think, that council should take note that this is an organisation that is paying a lease amount to Crown Lands for the use of that facility, and yet has not received permission from the neighbour, being Crown Lands, to use the facility. So Crown Lands are taking with one hand and not giving with the other in relation to consenting to them to have use of the facility to shoot. Right? They need to have a letter from all the neighbours. All the other neighbours have consented, signed the letter. Crown Lands are refusing to sign the letter, yet still have the hide to charge the club their annual licence fee. I think that's something that council should be taking up with Crown Lands. That, you know, it's you're a pretty poor citizen of this shire, whether you're a government citizen or not, that you would happily charge someone to use that site and then not give them permission to use it.
It's definitely a peculiar situation, and my understanding is that Helen Dalton MP has received correspondence from the club and is seeking to find a remedy. But take your point. If there's some way we can assist, I think we'd be willing and able to do so. Thank you. Anything further?
Probably only really a comment under Kumiala High School. I think it's getting fairly onerous that all these. I believe there should be somewhere funded under schools, under government things, not under councils. But it's just we're getting more and more thrown at us, and
you could argue the same thing about the Meals on Wheels one that we passed earlier on. That's just another form of cost shifting from the state government or federal government down to council. So,
but that's happening all the time.
Yep.
So it's just.
Thank you for that. If there's no further speakers for the motion or against, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Councillor Rodder, you're against?
Yeah, no. Oh, it was, yes.
Okay, so that's carried. Thank you. All right, we'll just wait for Councillor Weeding to make his return. I've gone exploring.
Yeah, it's only a couple of steps from here.
Only step back, any small.
Just in the while we're waiting, you might have noticed on your way in that we've got the beautiful stained glass windows here from the old chamber, and also that funny looking tube thing is the what are they called? Time capsule, which is safely stored here until we find somewhere to redeposit.
And the old building has been demolished.
It is no more. Welcome back, Councillor Weeding. We'll move to item 911, IT strategic plan. Councillor
I would
Armstrong.
move the recommendation as written, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Rotto is seconding. Is there any discussion required? Any questions?
I would like to speak to the motion and congratulate the IT department on putting together what's quite a extensive report, and obviously they've done significant analysis into to the needs of council and councillors whilst protecting the organisation.
Yes, you may speak to the motion.
Just done.
Anyone wish to speak on the question? With the motion, those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Item 9.12, development application determination report. A report for noting. Somebody would like to move. Councillor Crisp, seconded Councillor Rodder. Are there any questions? Councillor Armstrong.
So just some feedback. I had been approached by one of the applicants here when he made his application initially. It's the top one there, retaining wall fencing. He reported back to me that his initial plans submitted to council, the engineering plans, were rejected by council due to the fact that they were hand drawn, not computer drawn, even though they were signed by a certified engineer. Just wanted to pass that on, right? His initial submission was rejected because the plans were, what he was told, and I've seen the correspondence from the planning department, was that the plans went up to scratch. They were hand-drawn plans certified by an engineer, and so just...
When you say rejected, you mean
Yeah,
they
no,
weren't
that-
accepted?
They weren't accepted. They weren't accepted for assessment. That's what I mean. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments? We're going to save them all for December.
All of them for December.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thanks, carried. Favourite report. Item 9.3, project and works report for November 2025. Would someone like to move? Councillor Rodder, seconded. Councillor Evans. Are there any questions? Councillor Starrick.
Just on the Ivanhoe Road reshedding works, we had to apply for a licence for the bore groundwater. Just wondered what's the term of the licence that we've applied for? Is it a longer term? Is it just for the term of the project?
Excuse me, we've got a lease on a dam there, long-term lease. So for the benefit of road maintenance and this project as well, to put a bore in there, it'll provide long-term water for the whole road.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's...
So it is a long-term lease for the bore.
Yeah, I think it goes out to the bore itself.
Yeah.
I haven't got through that process yet, but the actual excuse me, lease around the dam goes to 2039. Yeah.
Councillor Weeding.
Yes, in the Wentworth Water Tower Reserve, when that's cleaned up, what's that land going to be used for?
At the moment, that's there's no specific use set aside for that. It's a rehabilitation of affected site from hazardous materials from previous years, which has been removed. So the work at the moment is part of that clean-up process and rehabilitation, which was essentially to cap the area and provide new vegetation and planting throughout the site. It was originally identified a number of years back as a site for the astronomy, but obviously since been. Those plans have changed, so there's no specific items or structures or anything like that associated with it. It's just a rehabilitation of the affected piece of land.
Councillor Beaumont and then Councillor Armstrong.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I was wondering, given the completion of the Junction Island viewing platform, whether any thought had been given, or will there be any thought given to conducting an opening of that site and that platform? It does represent the culmination of a project that has probably been in the pipeline for about 10 years, in that it's made up of various components, being the new footbridge over the creek from the mainland onto the island, the new walking path or trail down to the confluence, and a beautiful new platform in. I think it's a significant achievement. It's a project that was kicked off by the Greater Murray-Darling Junction Interpretive Facility Inc. Committee, being very ably led by Brian Grogan. Whilst that committee wound up and handed over to the Shire approximately 2-3 years ago, that committee was very instrumental in bringing this project to fruition. So I think an opening would be appropriate.
Sure.
And as a councillor in the past term of office, I did move a motion to the effect that there be appropriate recognition put to whether it be a seat or something similar, recognising the contribution of Brian and Helen Grogan, the late Helen Grogan, and all the work that they put in bringing this to fruition.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thanks, Councillor Beaumont. I remember Mr. Grogan coming in and presenting and sort of handing the baton over to sort of what was going to complete the process. Most of these have like protocols, including recognition of the funders. So maybe one of the gentlemen here has an answer on that.
Yeah, so that one's funded under the Resources for Regions program, in which there was about 6 or 7 projects done. So the 2 camp kitchens, that one, the Baronga pump track. So probably what we would be doing is organising one event where a minister or a member, a representative of the department would come out there, and we would open 3 or 4 of those, officially open 3 or 4 of those projects on the one day. And in relation to your second point, when that group closed down, they did give council some funds, about $3,000 or something, and with the requirement that a plaque or some type of signage be installed around the location of the viewing platform, acknowledging the work that was done by that committee in getting that project up and running. So yeah, we'll need to make sure that is done. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Any further questions? Oh, sorry, I'll go to Councillor Armstrong and then I'll come back.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple. Thanks to the team for the new midway to Golgol footpath. Looks great. Just looking at finishing off the work there today, and I think they're nearly done. It's a great upgrade to that little stretch of path there with the lights. Everyone's in the community is very positive about it. I think it's great. So thanks to the team for their work on that one. And once that bitumen started, went down pretty quick. It's all done pretty quick, so that was good. So thanks for that. My question would then be on the Golgol Baronga reticulation model. It says filtered water model for Golgol Baronga has been created. And just that there's some issues. Just wonder if we can get an update on what that model is showing, what the path forward is around those, the raw water and filtered water in Baronga Golgol. Well, the footpath upgrade's fantastic. I don't think I've been asked once or heard one comment about the need for it, but I think I get a comment every day about water pressure in Baronga and Golgol. So.
JM. Mr. Mayor, do you have any response to that?
I will. I thought I just did.
You got notice?
No, I take that question on notice. I'm happy to provide a response. I don't have the specifics at the moment, but yes, I'll provide that detail.
Thank you.
Would it be worth adding to that? Do you see any risks with funding the projects that are recommended, given what we've been informed about where the state government's sitting at the moment in terms of funding water and wastewater projects, i.e. no further grants till 2028?
I think in the short term, some of the work that's been identified to provide some percentage increases in storage flow capacity. I think that's at the moment is within, and they're not bigger costs. I think that we can access even via our reserve and some of our funding.
Manage that with our own external.
The other works associated with the major upgrades for when we would be at a point in time to have designs finished, call for tenders, and actually go to the point of significant infrastructure spending is going to be past the 2028 point in time anyway.
Okay.
Probably there'd be a little bit of work involved, and probably so once those four projects there get the tick off from, so they're with the department at the moment being reviewed. So once those plans are ticked off on, we can advance them further and get more technical designs done. So which we'd be able to fund out of the water reserve.
Yep.
But even so, there's still potentially probably a couple of $1 million worth of works just to take those four to the next level. If we got to the point where something had to be done before that 2028 deadline comes around for when they might extend the safe and secure, then that would be a topic of discussion around this table as to how we would fund those works if it became critical that we had to do them. If we couldn't wait until government funding became available, then we would have to come up with some type of funding plan to how we would, because a new water plant, for example, or an extension to a water treatment plant could run $15-20 million easily.
Yeah, look, and I'm conscious. I mean, there's a state election in between now and then, so anything could happen. But to Councillor Armstrong's point, it's a conversation we've got to try and keep in front of, because it is very topical, as we know, and obviously everybody can see the amount of resi development that continues, and that's a great thing for our community. But it won't be a great thing if we sort of get to that pinch point where we can't maintain services to the level that's desired. But we know all that. Councillor Starrick.
I don't want to preempt anything, but there is some reports coming out of the ARC that councillors will view those minutes next month. Within that, the finance team have put forward a response out of one of the management points from the internal audit, wasn't it? About the infrastructure asset management plans, and the team have put together a plan to address the infrastructure asset management plans over a period of 3 years, and to draft those infrastructure asset management plans. The work in those infrastructure asset management plans will feed into this discussion in regards to how much do we need, what's the work that needs to be done. So I just wanted to call that out, because the team have got a plan to put in place. There's a lot of work in terms of revaluations, condition assessments that need to be done to inform those infrastructure asset management plans. And based on that, the team have put together a 3-year plan to address those different asset classes, and that's going to help to inform this piece as well.
Excellent. I knew that was a good committee.
Yeah.
Thank
Back
you.
to your original point though, if we had to action one of these plans prior to the next round of
Yep.
safe and secure, then yeah, there is potentially for a significant financial risk. Yeah.
No, that's good to have that on the record. Okay, any further questions? Councillor Weeding.
Just to comment on the William Street pipeline, I noticed a few people were inconvenienced while it was happening, but on the way here today they were pulling down the fence and the ground's been reinstated. It looks good, so well done.
Yeah, it should be. I think it should be live now too. So yes, good job.
Great. So many good projects being finished off. So yeah, credit to the whole team, and I think in no small part to Director Gunn and his team for our biggest ever infrastructure project undertaken by council, being the expansion of the waste facility. So that's very good. And can I just pass on by way of congratulations to our Parks and Gardens team too. I was approached by a mayor in Sydney last week who specifically wanted to come up when he saw my Wentworth jacket and say he'd passed through here some stage in the last couple of months and was very impressed with the care taken with our gardens and just the presentation of the Shire from all the way through. So if you can pass that on to our team leaders, please. All right. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. There are no notices of motion or questions with notice, so we'll move to confidential business. Councillor Crisp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the council adjourns into closed session. The recording of the meeting be paused and that members of the press and the public be excluded from the meeting of the closed session, and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to the items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by separate resolution.
Is the motion seconded? Councillor Rodder. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried.
Yeah, she's going to see whether anyone from Fox is still there. But, Liz is gone.
Okay.
Sorry?
All right, we're back on. Okay, thank you very much. I'll invite the General Manager to report into Open Council the outcomes of the confidential business, please.
Yes, first item 12.1, council resolved to waive the water invoice for $6,250 for the 2024-25 period for the Wentworth Sporting Complex Golf Club. Recommendations, so item 12.2, council resolved in accordance with the provision of local government general regulation 2021 section 1781A, accept the tender from Waters Excavation Proprietary Limited, and subsequently authorise the Mayor and General Manager to sign the contract document and affix a seal for the recommended contractor to carry out works specified for PT 2425/17/C/00047 for the amount of $359,522.97 GST inclusive, and that council approve a contingency allowance of $32,972.10 GST inclusive. In addition to the above contract awarded, council approved a transfer of $178,000 GST inclusive from the Sewer Infrastructure Fund to the wastewater treatment plant cleaning work to allow the project to proceed. Item 12.3, council resolved to approve an extension of $120,000 including GST to the contract for the Baronga Landfill Expansion Project Management, tender number PT 2324/18 with Tonkin Consulting Proprietary Limited. And the last item, item 12.4, council resolved to approve an extension of $300,000 including GST to the contract for the Baronga Landfill Expansion Project tender number PT 2324/14 with Waters Excavations Proprietary Limited. And that was the last item on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Acting GM. That concludes this evening's meeting. Thank you everybody for your attendance. Thank you, Jared, for stepping into the acting role. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
And our next meeting will last for the year, I believe, 17th of December. See you all then. Thank you.